I try to come into every comic book and every comic book review that I'm going to do with an open mind, although sometimes I am saddled with some type of expectations. And for the most part, lately DC and Marvel have kind of lived up or down to my expectations. I think with Aquaman the Becoming, Strange #1, the new Iron Fist debuts, while some of them weren't as bad as I expected, they certainly had faults, and a lot of what I didn't think was going to work ended up not working. I must say I am pleasantly surprised with the Punisher #1 from Jason Aaron and Jesus Saez. I thought this was going to stink to the high heavens, but I had to give it an honest shot, an honest review. I came away from this comic book thinking, why the hell is Jason Aaron wasting his time on the Avengers, which he is having the worst time ever actually telling quality stories? The things that he's delivering at this moment in his comic book career are like Conan and the Punisher. His Conan series was fine. His King Conan, I think, is even better. This Punisher, I'm not going to say it's perfect. It isn't perfect, but it is really, really, really good. If you needed a motivation for Frank Castle to make this change, you're given that motivation. If you wanted to see Frank Castle be an extremely violent killing machine, that's what you're going to get in this comic book. I was blown away by the quality of the storytelling, the authenticity that we get with this Frank Castle Punisher, something that is really lacking almost across the board at DC and Marvel right now. It doesn't feel like a lot of their characters are authentic to who they are in their history. But in this case, this thing is absolutely nailed. There are a few issues that I do have with it that we're going to talk about, but for the most part, Jason Aaron is not one of them. He absolutely delivers the goods. If you wanted an action-packed Punisher comic, you're going to get it here. It does open up with a flashback to Frank Castle and his wife being gunned down and him losing her. That is another artist, but for the most part, this is illustrated by Jesus Saez, and that really is the only thing I don't love about this comic book. I have heard other reviewers and people out there say that they absolutely love the art in the Punisher #1. I am not one of them. I think Jesus Saez, for the most part, is an exceptionally talented illustrator, but I don't know that he's always a good visual storyteller. There are a lot of flat moments, a lot of static images, in my opinion, that don't do the story justice, but there are a few moments where he absolutely nails it. There's a big fight between Frank Castle and some ninjas, which I'm going to get to here in a second. You could tell he put some extra TLC on those and delivered some wonderful visual storytelling, but for the most part, it's more stuff like this. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's technically good. It looks like a good illustration. I just don't think it's great comic art. And that's just my opinion. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. But it's not bad. I'm not going to say this is bad art. It's just not my cup of tea. And I would put it more in the average to slightly above average range, in my opinion. After we get the open, where we get reminded of how Frank Castle became the Punisher and what happened to his wife, it basically gets hot really, really quick. We've got some arms sales that are going on, and Frank Castle Punisher has been sent in to deal with these people. He's wearing his new outfit with his new Punisher logo. He's got swords on him. He's got some daggers, got some katanas. He's wearing some forearm shields and things of that nature, not typically associated with the character. And he is an absolute badass. He is wiping out everybody left and right. He's murdering every single person in his way, except for one guy. He leaves him out there so we can interrogate him. And when he's no longer of use to him, he slits his throat and kills him too. And then we see all these ninjas come up to back him up. I love this splash page. This is actually my second favorite piece of art in here. When we see this, I think the art is actually pretty good, but it's still not my favorite style. But this was really cool. The opening really set the table for what this comic book is. It is violent. It is bloody. It is gory. It's Frank Castle, Punisher, the ultimate killing machine. And if that is what you like out of your Frank Castle Punisher, I think there's a good chance that you'll actually like this comic book, because there are a lot of explanations provided in here that absolutely make sense for the character in the story. When Frank is done with this business and he returns to the hand, he's welcomed by this high priestess, who's a very interesting character that is being fleshed out. And I think Jason Aaron is doing a great job with her. It turns out that the hand are out there just rounding up all these people, murderers, rapists, child abusers that are out there walking the streets. They're hunting them down. They're bringing them back to Frank Castle. And every day they say, if you don't want to do it, we'll behead them. And he beheads every single one of them, fits right into Frank Castle. His brand of justice is absolute and is absolutely brutal. While I didn't enjoy what is actually happening on the page, I thought it was done very well and really highlighted who Frank Castle is and what he stands for, and what, at least a portion of what the hand can actually offer him. an opportunity to seek out justice. They're literally going out there, rounding up these criminals, these people that in his mind should be put to death, and letting him do it. It seems like a match made in heaven. We also get this flashback from the High Priestess's perspective where the Hand essentially ambushed Frank Castle on the orders of the High Priestess. She has essentially vouched for Frank Castle, saying he is the ultimate killing machine. He is, in fact, the beast that is going to unleash the Hand. And we need this guy. He's going to lead us. He's going to essentially be like a general for our army, and he is the ultimate killing machine. She essentially put her life on the line to do this, and he gets attacked by like 80 ninjas, and he runs through them like a knife through butter. It is wonderfully violent. This is actually my favorite page in the comic book itself. In my opinion, this feels so true to who Frank Castle is and who the Hand are. I love what they did here to explain how they were able to bring him in, and I absolutely love the expression on the High Priestess's face as she's witnessing this. She's watching him murder like 80 of these ninjas that she's been training since they were kids. She would have very important relationships with these people. She would know who they are. And she's weeping because it was so beautiful to see the beast unleashed. That's what Frank Castle means to this character. And I thought they set that up really well at this really disgusting, weird relationship, and how Frank Castle and the Hand are able to coexist so well together and really help each other. And I know a lot of you are going to say, but Wes, I just don't think them rounding up people, letting them murder them would be enough to convince Frank Castle to join the Hand and be their beast and their general and all that stuff. You are correct, because we get this very final reveal. If you were ever going to get Frank Castle to do something that felt a little out of character or a lot out of character, this is how you would have to do it. It turns out the Hand have resurrected his wife, Maria. This is what he is presented after he wipes out all those ninjas. His wife is resurrected. She can see the bullet holes in her. She walks to the door, and that is how they are ultimately able to convince Frank Castle, who they believe is the beast, somebody that they need in their charge, to join up with the Hand. If you were going to get Frank Castle to join an organization like this, to get him to do your bidding, this is absolutely how you want to do it. Now, I know death means nothing in comic books or whatnot, and I do think this is a natural reaction for Frank Castle. I came into the Punisher #1 from Jason Aaron expecting nothing that was going to draw me into the character. I thought they were trying to do long-term harm and really, really ruin the character of Punisher. But in my opinion, this really does honor the character. Do I like the new logo? Not really. Do I think it has long-term potential as a replacement logo for the Punisher? No. When I've said that, it has been in sarcasm and in jest. But as a story, and with what Jason Aaron is trying to execute here for Frank Castle and the history of Marvel Comics, I think it works very, very well. This is a 4.5 star comic book. Highly recommend. Enormous shocker. I did not come into this comic book thinking I was going to enjoy it, and I came away very impressed. It's not a feel-good comic. It's a brutal comic. It's bloody. It is very physical. It's very intense. I think they could have used a different artist, but when he has to, Jesus Saez absolutely delivers it good. So bravo to Jason Aaron. I have to admit, when you do something good, you did something great in this comic book. If you like Punisher and you weren't willing to give this one a shot, I just have a feeling that if you check it out, it might be the comic that you wanted to read this week. Speaking of comic books I wanted to read this week, there were 2 indie comics that came out, Killlock, The Artisan's Wraith, and We Live, Age of the Palladians. I reviewed both of them yesterday. One of them I love, the other one I didn't. Definitely check out this video. There is a phenomenal 5-star comic just waiting to be discovered.